Google Maps told me I could walk from this football field to this train station in 25 minutes. How do you think I did? Just west of downtown Kalamazoo, Michigan, a heavily engineered strip of winding roadways was built to shuffle car traffic through the city's one-way street grid. It occupies a 400-foot wide swath of land along the rail line that divides downtown from its neighbors to the west. It's also only 3 blocks long, but it feels like running a half marathon with obstacles. But before the 1960s, it wasn't anything like this. Today, the city of Kalamazoo is about to transform this torrent of traffic into a safe, walkable, linear park that safely connects Western Michigan University in the south, Kalamazoo College to the west, and the amenities of downtown in the northeast. Locals, especially students, have voiced that walking this area is unsafe. Before we can fix any of these problems, however, we had to experience them for ourselves. And by we, I meant I. Along the way, my team asked me to find 4 points of interest: the walking trail, a lovely park, a little monument, and a creek. They dropped me off at the stadium and left before I realized there was no sidewalk to start my journey. Hold on. There it is. Did you know the average person can walk a mile in about 15 to 20 minutes? This assumes, of course, that they have the mobility and stamina to do so, and that their path is unimpeded and it's easy to find where they're going. If the walk is nice, people generally don't mind it taking longer. There should be a wide variety of delightful experiences such as art, gardens, shop fronts, places to rest, and quality food vendors along the way. Ideally, a person in a city like this one will be able to meet all of their basic needs within a 5-minute walk from home. But the visionaries of the 1960s had different priorities. They wanted to move cars through this neighborhood as fast as possible, and they succeeded, at significant cost to safety and neighborhood charm. They paved roughly 50% of the site with asphalt and put sharp pointy fences between you and what little food was left. I found the monument, but to get to it, I had to cross one street 3 times to admire it up close. At every block, these flashing red hands make you wait several minutes before you can proceed along the route. This is certainly a driver-privileged area, making those without a car work even harder to get where they need to go. Some of the most uncomfortable spots along the journey are the sidewalks wedged between the fast-moving roadway and the parking lots. At night, places like these feel especially unsafe for vulnerable populations. Because of the inhospitable environment of roadways like these, many businesses that still remain have turned their backs on the street, making the area feel even more dangerous. I'm doing my best to stay positive, yet halfway along the route I still don't see a park, trail, or creek. I decided to cross the road to get a better look at the area. This neon yellow crossing sign seemed promising and was very visible to oncoming drivers. Trusting this, however, was a mistake. Attempting to cross here nearly sent me on a tour of the nearby Bronson Hospital and invoked aggressive behavior in those around me. Since people here carry guns, I won't use this again. I checked my map later and realized I had already passed the park without seeing it. Looking back at my footage, I realized it was this. Do you see it? There are 2 wide roads to cross. Going over there just didn't seem worth it, so I decided to move on. I doubled back across the street using a new type of crosswalk I'd never seen before. This one had only a sign with no zebra stripes painted on the road, but it assured me that the law was on my side, so I waited for a gap this time and went for it. Did you know wide roadways encourage fast driving, consume sidewalk space, and harm businesses because people feel less safe being next to fast-moving traffic? That's when I encountered my first pedestrian of the day. He was hungry and standing in the rain, so I invited him to lunch at Walgreens across the street, where the freshest food in the area could be found. Together, we bonded over how, although dangerous, these crosswalks force people passing by to stop long enough to help those in need. I learned that in downtown, people walking by don't have to stop and help you. From there, I knew I was close to Main Street. I just didn't know how close. I crossed the parkway to the east, but in the struggle for personal safety, I didn't see the Main Street sign, so I looked around to get my bearings. I tried to head north, but found the sidewalk literally blocked by a building. This 2-lane cycle track may have gotten me further north, but you can't safely walk on that, so I recrossed the parkway, found no sidewalk there either, and headed west in search for a safe path north. Counterintuitive, I know. I found a dry patch of pavement behind this dumpster before traversing a wet grassy field that led me to a curved one-way road. On the other side of that road, I found myself back on the cycle track and decided that this was the best walking route after all. but the chain link fence along the route made it feel very uncomfortable, so I nixed this plan and turned south again. Having made essentially 4 right turns around the perimeter of this huge intersection, I wound up where I met my friend for lunch and realized I had been on Main Street this whole time. Did you know this portion of Kalamazoo was once a thriving wetland with a diverse ecosystem that supported several nations of people? It's all gone now, except for the creek, which I still haven't found. Thankfully, the new lawkeepers of this land reminded me of a very important lesson when I arrived at the Main Street entrance. Then, something incredible happened. I encountered my second pedestrian friend in nearly an hour. Seeking a safer route than walking by the corner gas station ahead, I sought a shortcut northward through the generously sized St. Augustine parking lot. This block turned out to be much deeper than it seemed from the street, and perhaps the people I saw crossing behind the buildings weren't pedestrians, but church staff. Either way, I made quick work of the church's fortress-like gates, and somehow this church staff member didn't find it suspicious that someone who looked like me was filming near a playground on private property. Did you know, if you place crosswalks only at intersections, people would rather cross illegally mid-block than walk an extra quarter mile to the intersection and back? I had been braving the elements for so long at this point that breaking the law seemed worth the risk. But crime sometimes has payoffs in the form of finally finding the creek. Although, when I learned about the wetland, this wasn't exactly what I had in mind. And it was sitting under the church this whole time. Moreover, I was only a block away from the River Valley Trail across the train tracks, though I didn't realize it until I started editing this video. It just doesn't look like a place I'd want to go, and neither does the Justice Building on Kalamazoo Avenue, which I learned was not, in fact, a prison, despite its heavily walled appearance in front. Sadly, this building serves as an example of county government turning its back on the street, a rational move of self-preservation that's all too common in car-oriented cities. Now only a few blocks away from my goal, it's clear why the city has turned to address this vital connection route after recently completing its downtown plan. If their goal is to make this area safe for students, or any community member regardless of mobility level, the rift that this stretch of roadways has marked through the city must be repaired. But if they do that, will it take longer to drive to work? Probably by a few minutes, yeah. But will more of us and the people we care about be able to get to school, work, or the grocery store without dying along the way? Also, yeah. My total time on this journey? 61 minutes.
We did it.
It can be easy to identify with our mode of transportation and forget that people are people who, like us, are just going where they need to go. One common example is the belief that pedestrians are poor, or the viewing of people driving only as the cars they ride in and calling them assholes when we don't want them there. I'm a person who's been a pedestrian, a motorist, a cyclist, a rail passenger, and disabled. All of these change. We need to make it fair for everyone to get around. If we're not careful, labeling people with these terms can be a very divisive and dehumanizing way of viewing one another. Please remember to treat all people with kindness, dignity, and respect as we work together to make our community safe.